Hello everyone. Look at my action bar. There's only one left. I decided that I would make a minor adjustment again to the build. I went from using wolves to using landslide. Landslide has increased my output damage tenfold. It's just a huge amount of increased damage. Going pure physical with just the auto attack, though it works fine. The wolves themselves are not allowing me to grow, are not allowing my character to actually do more sustained damage. It's okay for like a boss. Earth Spike hitting a boss for single target damage is great, but when it comes to dungeon clearing, the wolves are just fucking terrible. It's probably one of the worst skills that the Druid can use, especially for a companion. So I'm going to drop the companion element of the build, and it's now going to be a landslide single target AoE helped, I should say, effect, because the landslide actually does AoE damage. It hits all targets that it lands under. So if the enemies are clustered together, you can hit every single one of them with a single landslide. I would really love it if I could use Earth Spike as a actual sort of AoE move. It shoots out in a line in front. I actually might try and do that for Season 1, because most of the damage is going to come from landslide anyway. As much as I love Earth Spike, I can still make it work, and I am still making it work. But as I've been going into higher tier nightmares, getting defense seems to be way more important than damage. And putting points into Cyclone Armor, for instance, allows me to get 13.7 non-physical damage reduction. That applies to everything: shadow, poison, fire, etc. Plus, I've got more points into this, allowing for just a base physical reduction. In total, that's 15% there and 13.7 there. That's a lot of extra damage reduction. Now, that applies to long-range damage as well as short-range, to all damage that's incoming. One of the things I noticed when you get hit by a long-range AoE, the ghosts, for instance, when they do that sort of floor AoE thing, it looks like a red sort of rectangle that appears underneath. The further away they are, you just get slapped for half your health bar. It's actually insane. And to try to show you just how much damage I'm actually taking now, I am going to move this box off the health bar from my camera, and I'm going to put it somewhere else. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put it. Maybe I'll remove my good solid friend over there. He's my little birdie. He is my bro from another mother, as far as I'm concerned. It's a sweet little thing. He likes to bounce every time he sees me. But I'm thinking of removing his face and putting my face over there instead, so that you get to see the health bar. I think learning just how much damage you're taking is going to be important to study before Season 1. And I think that you, as well as me, should start like documenting that in our minds of just how much damage I am actually taking. In the recent dungeons, tiers 1 through 29, I've not actually filmed the Nightmare tier 30s yet. As you saw, I was doing pretty good damage. My sustain was there. The problem was my defense. And unfortunately, going Ravens, it didn't allow me to get that extra defense. And it's a little annoying. But as long as I can spam Cyclone and keep it on cooldown, and as long as I can get cooldown reduction, I'm going to have to keep that in the back of my mind when I rebuild this character in Season 1. Instead of going Lucky Hit, because I'm actually dropping that completely, the pack leader is now only going to affect one move. And because of that, I've dropped it in favor of Energize. It's still a Lucky Hit. My character is still Lucky Hit based. But in the future, I will be dropping that for the Fortify effect. Especially if I've got two of them, I will be getting 20% Fortify. Like, that's a lot of like additional Fortify that I can get to sustain myself in terms of keeping myself alive. I'm still determined not to use an ultimate. I think that the ultimates are all shit for Druid, all of them. The only one that is remotely good, I guess, is the Werebear one. But again, unless you're going Werebear, you don't really get to use that ultimate. So, no ultimates for me. I'm happy with my abilities. I'm happy with my now defense. I still have to restructure everything. I just have to slowly get rid of Lucky Chance in favor of cooldown reduction. So what I'm going to do from now till Season 1 is just restructure my character a little bit, get rid of the Lucky Hit Chance, including getting rid of these gloves. These gloves are all Lucky Hit Chance as well. And try to get some other kind of sustain from more better defenses in terms of that. One of the biggest additions that I think I'm going to look out for is damage reduction from distant enemies. I'm noticing as I go further up into higher tier nightmare dungeons that the damage that I'm receiving from enemies that are further away is more catastrophic to my life bar than anything that's close to me. And one of the biggest reasons is because I just don't have reduction for enemies that are far away. Like, I've got damage to close enemies and stuff. I've got damage from close enemies. All these kinds of reductions. I mean, it's on here, right? Yeah, damage reduction from close enemies. But I don't have anything from distant enemies, and that's the issue. So I'm going to try and keep spamming Bloodhowl and Cyclone Armor. The reason why I'm going to do that is because I get a flat 15% damage reduction for 6 seconds as long as both of these things stay on cooldown. So I'm going to have to get cooldown reduction as much as I can. I don't know how low I can get the cooldown, even if it's 50%. Bloodhowl might still only be like 9 seconds on the cooldown. Obviously that's not good enough for this, because that's 6 seconds, so that's still 3 seconds of no defense additional layers. I'm still determined not to use Earthen Bulwark under any circumstance, though I did in a recent video use quite a heavy-handed word. I'm still not apologizing for that. To describe my feeling towards the crowd control effect freeze. Freeze in this game is too strong. It is way too strong. One enemy with freeze is enough to shut you down, and that is horrendous. I do have the reductions, so obviously this is a triple effect, so it's 9% by default. It's triple as long as I have over 50% of my maximum life. As Fortify, that's easily done. I could get that easy in any fight. And obviously in the future build, I'm going to go not as Earth and Might because this is Lucky Hit. So I might actually go back to using Nature's Fury just to test it out. At the moment, this is giving me a lot of, crit. Like, it's really fucking nice. Just to give me 100% crit is super effective. But at the moment, Nature's Fury might be making a return. The issue is Boulder. Every time I use a move that's gonna summon Boulder, it could summon it. So if I'm using Nature's Fury, I want to make sure that I don't do that. So I'm going to stay away from Hurricane. Hurricane is one of the Druid's best abilities in the game for applying vulnerability. It is much better than the Raven version. It's much better than the version of Cyclone Armor. Hurricane just has the ability to keep constantly ticking the vulnerability status. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do vulnerable for my Season 1 character. I think I'm just going to have to rely on the Glythe that applies vulnerable for 3 seconds, once per target for 20 seconds. I don't know how I'm going to be able to sustain vulnerability, especially for bosses, but I might not do that instead. I might actually go for the overpower aspect, and just get as much attack speed as possible to get as much spirit regen to be able to sustain myself. It's only a 3% chance to overpower. If I want to increase that, I have to do things like be in Werebear form. I don't know why they've put Werebear as the measure of overpower for Druid. It's actually so much easier to do overpower with Blood version of Necro. I can't believe that Overpower is actually incredibly fucking easy to do on a Necro, and yet the only way that you can reliably do it on a Druid is with Werebear. It's a little annoying. It's a little frustrating. But again, I guess if you had Overpower so easily to get on a Druid, Druids would be insane. They'd be more than just tanks. They'd also be high damage dealers. So I can understand why they don't want you to do that. So I'm going to have to keep that in the back of my mind when I build my Season 1 character, to not go full Overpower, but still find ways of being able to trigger it. The poison on hit thing is still pretty good. Damage increases as long as the target is poisoned. Cooldown reduction is going to be huge for rabies, because rabies lasts, and obviously if you can increase the duration of these effects. Currently I've got nearly 8 seconds with a nearly 10-second cooldown. That's only 2 seconds where they're not poisoned. This one ability, this actual ability, if I can get the cooldown just a little bit more, will actually be better than Poison Creeper. Again, not a single fucking one of these companions are actually worth getting. It's insane. But if I get my cooldown reduction down, I can actually drop Poison Creeper in favor of something else instead. It's actually stupid. I could actually drop Poison Creeper and get an ultimate, and I could just spam it or whatever. You know what I mean? It's actually insane. It feels like the companion skills of Druid weren't tested at all. Their actual damage output is fucking atrocious. The measure of trying to make them better is still atrocious, and it doesn't matter what you do. All of them are crap. I honestly think, in terms of the way that I would restructure these, is make ravens fly around your head, not off screen. Make them more of an active threat by getting them to attack enemies once every second, not every 5 seconds. And just increase the raven from 2 to about like 3 on the default, so that they're constantly above you spinning, or they're on your character. Like they rest on your shoulders or something. I don't fucking know. Just make them more visually active, more visually present, and make their damage more present across the board. Make them more active as damage dealers. The actual ability itself is only used for vulnerable. It is fucking atrocious. And I love the fact that Poison Creeper is shut down just by using rabies. That's fucking stupid. It shouldn't be that way. It should have more of an impact. It doesn't. The only reason why Poison Creeper might still have a viability is because you can stack poison damage, and you can get that poison damage up. So Poison Creeper still has a usage, just not as a companion. It's something that applies poison. So as long as you go poison build, you can still get usage out of Poison Creeper. But if you go companion build, or you want to use a companion, all 3 are shit. But yeah, so if you want to be able to go a certain build, I would recommend that you stay away from the companions. And if you want to use 1 or 2 of them, you can still use ravens for the vulnerability. It's the only fucking thing that it does. And you get free poison damage with Poison Creeper. Poison Creeper is still being used, obviously not for the immobilization, but for the additional, you do damage to enemies that are poisoned. In terms of the build itself, I've took some points out of Earth Spike to be able to give Cyclone Armor more points, so that I get more damage reduction. They are going to be looking into this, I believe, by Season 2. The resistances and defenses of the game are being reevaluated. They've already stated this, that there's something not quite working. It's not quite right. It's not, like on paper it works, but in reality the defenses in this game are pretty shit. So they're probably going to be looking into that for Season 2, not for Season 1. That's a big change. They just want to get content out. They want players to still have fun with the game. So they're just going to leave the defenses for Season 1 as is, which means I'm going to have to get as much defense as I can when Season 1 drops, because the changes are going to be there. So if you want to build a sort of partial tank, you can still do that, but you still have to put the time, energy, and effort into it. By Season 2, I would actually say get used to having resistances on your gear, because those changes are coming, and it's probably going to be a couple of months away for Season 2. So Season 1's coming soon. They've already announced it. And then Season 3, obviously it's a season, so it's every 4 months. But obviously we don't really know the times that they are going to put in place for that. But still, get used to the idea of having resistance on your gear, specifically poison. So anything that increases your poison resist is vital. The amount of poison that exists in this game is fucking horrendous. However, as long as you go poison resist, you're okay. I mean, look at this. This is 60% nearly poison resist. Even if that gets cut in half, that's still 30 poison resist. And I think that's my strongest resistance currently. Let's have a look. 53%. Yeah, it's my strongest resistance. The other one that I'd recommend that you get is fire resistance, because the enemy can stack fire on you as well. It's a burn effect. The others are just flat damage. So if you get hit by lightning, if you get hit by cold, these things don't reduce the amount of damage that you take from being frozen, for instance. You just get froze. Like, even if you had 100% cold resist and you was immune to cold damage, you're not going to be immune to the freeze effect. The freeze effect itself is a separate effect. You can't become immune to it. Blizzard really need to reevaluate these effects, because as you saw in my previous video, where I used a strong-handed word, especially against Blizzard themselves, that they clearly didn't fucking look into freeze. I personally think that the freeze effect in this game is the single most strongest broken AI spammable thing that can be applied to you, to the point that you can literally be permanently stunned. You can't move, you can't heal, you can't dodge, you can't do anything under the effects of freeze. It is fucking stupid. At least if you get dazed and it takes your ability to use your abilities away from you, you can still dodge, you can still move. So I personally think that the freeze effect in this game needs to be reevaluated. It is fucking stupid. But until then, get some defenses, lower that incoming damage, because if you do get frozen, you want to make sure that they don't instantly kill you. So on your gear, you actually want to level it out. The amount of damage reduction that you get from close, you want to also get from distant. So if you get something like 20% damage reduction from close enemies on a different piece of gear, you want to get damage reduction or damage reduction from distant enemies. As you can see, you still want to stack armor. We don't know the future of armor. It could change quite rapidly. At the moment, armor is the stat to get instead of resistance. In the future, it's going to be as well as resistance. Get used to having resistances on some gear. I'm not gonna fucking like keep telling you this. From this point forward, you've been told, make sure that some of your gear has like resistances of some description. The two most important is fire, because of the damage over time, and poison, because of the poison damage over time. So keep that in mind. You want to get things that reduce crowd control effects on you. You want to be able to make it so that if you get frozen or something and it lasts for 3 seconds, you want to get that down as much as you can. For me, I'm not using Earth and Bulwark, so I'm using my tree, which gives me basically like 30% damage reduction because of the tripling effect. Plus, there's some other way. I can't remember how I did it. Oh, it's on here. It's on here. Look, there you go. The duration of crowd control pairing effects by 15%. So I've got roughly 45%. That cuts the time down of the freeze from 3 seconds down to 1.5 ish, which is the reason how and why I'm even able to stay alive when I get frozen, because I can, move. But even then, I can still be chain froze. I get froze and then I get froze again in less than 1.5 seconds. That is fucking stupid to me. That is abysmal in terms of the gameplay that they've included in this game, and I used a very strong-handed word to show that. But in terms of the build itself, this is more or less what you're going to see for Season 1. So let's actually go through the rest of this dungeon and you get to see. The one thing that I'm currently using, and I'm not going to be using in the future, is my gloves. My gloves are lucky hit gloves that do randomized damage. That randomized damage, I don't want it to be randomized. I want it to be more true to my actual character. I don't want it to be as dramatic as you see. So when I've killed these, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I either do no damage or insane damage. These gloves technically are good on paper. Probably I should keep them, if I do find them again, keep them as a boss killer. So I swap out to these when I'm against a boss. Not so much for the lucky hits. The lucky hits are pretty useless, especially if you don't go lucky hit. But 1%, insanely low. But if I can get a 300% roll and then I spam attacks on a boss, obviously that will increase my damage outflow. But in terms of dungeon clearing, it's really bad. And in some cases, I'm not even hitting for damage. It's that low. So I can't recommend the gloves, even if you are a lucky hit build. But yeah. It's pretty good. I'm kind of curious what they're going to do for new content when it drops with Season 1. But at the moment, yeah, I'm just enjoying my build as is. I'm trying to make note of the damage I'm doing, just to see how much damage I am doing. Is there one down here? No, there isn't. Let's keep going forward. I mean, it looks good. Pretty good, right? I mean, this is tier 29. I'm going to try and farm these top-end dungeons so I can get my levels, get my Paragon points. $136k. I just saw that then. I can't wait for Blizzard to make it so that I can turn off the word vulnerable. I still think that Blizzard didn't test a single fucking thing for this game. Not a single thing. They just wanted to get the game out quickly, and that's exactly what they've done.
Oh, wouldn't have made it without you.
$119,000. Again, that's the gloves. Realistically, without the gloves, this build is probably doing about 50k across the board. Which is actually reasonable. That's reasonable damage. But yeah. 50k at level 74. Yeah. is what I'm talking about with the gloves though. I'm not doing any kind of sustained damage, so it's taking me longer to kill this spire. Like the random numbers that I'm doing is too random. I think the only thing that the gloves are actually doing in terms of helpful for the build is that I get, you know, a lot of life on lucky hit, which is nice, but I don't want to rely on lucky hit for healing. That's a bit ridiculous to rely on a lucky hit to heal. That's gonna get me killed one of these days. One of the strongest reasons why the Visage, one of the rarest items in the game, why it's so brokenly strong, is because of its life steal. Not so much for the poison, though that is helpful, but the life steal. 2%. That's all it gives, but that life steal is going to be insane. If you're hitting for 100k damage, 2% will basically fully heal you. It's insane. Especially if you're hitting for millions. You'll never be killable. You'll never be killable. It's insane. I do think that they need to include some kind of lifesteal effect in this game. Healing feels so lackluster. Here we go. Frozen bitch. There we go. 2 of them. 3 of them. 3 of these frozen fuckers. Yeah, those gloves are just not letting me kill them. Look at that, 37 damage, 32. I don't know even what's doing 32 damage. Is that thorns, maybe? How much life does that regular enemy have? Holy shit. But yeah, this is the build. This is what I'm going to be doing. This will be my build of choice. I am enjoying Necro, but obviously this is really fucking good, really strong. And it's not Tornado. And it's not Werebear Slam. I feel so good to use a build that actually feels nice without it being a broken fucking stupid dumb shit build, you know? Feels good, man. You know, I actually feel sorry for everybody that's using the current broken builds, because they're all going to get nerfed into the ground. You put all your stock into playing a character that's going to get heavily nerfed soon. And I'm going to basically be untouched. My build is going to be not affected at all. Jesus Christ. I nearly just got one shot by something. I had like 1 health. My build is not going to be touched at all, whilst your builds get nerfed. Your damage will get nerfed, your sustain will get nerfed. Mine's going to be completely untouched. In fact, my build will only get better, while your builds get worse. That's why I love this build. Oh no. 3 of them? Why? Why are they coming in 3s? I just can't attack, ever. It's such a dumb mechanic. I just can't believe that they actually think it's good gameplay to have pretty much permanent freeze. Now don't forget, again, I've got freeze reduction, but those guys would have kept me permanently frozen. If I didn't have the reduction, I'd be permanently frozen right now. So stupid. But yeah, I'm not companions anymore. They didn't bind me as I walked past. That's a bit weird. Every time you hear me use a potion, by the way, my health has dipped way below half my health. Just to give you an idea of just how much damage I took. Okay, we got some more of those. I'm leveling up this, by the way. You gain 10% damage reduction while in human form. Damage reduction. It's going to be super helpful. Plus I just get increased damage. I'm trying to get this to 15 at the moment. But yeah. Paragon. It's over here. I quite wondered why some of these nodes had like plus 10 willpower on them, and then I realised. Because it helps with the fucking sockets. So I'm at plus 20, though I need plus 40 to get the reduction. There's 2 points here and there's 2 points here, but obviously I need to increase the thing. Or I could grab that, plus 10. And then I can get the 10% damage reduction. Really nice, really helpful. Any kind of defense is super important in this game. We've gone for the damage reduction, damage to poisoned enemies, damage to elites. There's also the other points like damage to elites, super important to get. Damage to poisoned. Poison damage we don't really care for, but the damage to poisoned is really nice. That's an extra 15% right there. We can get those points back and put them somewhere else if we so desired, but don't really have a need for that yet. There's this here, max health, really nice, plus the dexterity nodes. Each node is giving me 10% to poisoned enemies. In total, I'm getting 43% damage to poisoned enemies. Obviously, that's, you know, still not that great. I need it to be higher. But I just need to put points into dexterity, and I just naturally get more damage. So how much do I get? I get 7.5 for each 5 dex. So if I put 2 nodes in for the dex here, that's another, what, 15% increased damage to poisoned targets. So it's super important for me to concentrate on the Glyths. There's also this, but this is lucky hit. So I was originally thinking about getting this, but because it is a lucky hit chance, I don't think it's actually going to be something that I should be getting in my Season 1 build. Earth Spike has got a 40% and Landslide is a 23. They're pretty low. I'm going to need bonus of about, what, 25% lucky hit, just to be able to justify something like constricting tendrils, because they, like, during the lucky hit, I have a 15% chance to poison. So even though the hit is a lucky hit, it still then has to roll that chance. So I quite hate the way that lucky hit works. You would think that 15% would be the lucky hit and then you improve that, but that's not how that works. What this is doing is that it's only rolling the 15% if the attack is a lucky hit. So the easiest way to explain it would be, let's say that you've just crit an enemy, but you don't get the extra damage. The game does a 15% chance roll for you to get that crit damage. That to me is fucking stupid, like really dumb. But either way, I don't like that, so I'm going to stay away from this node when Season 1 drops. This one's a shape-shifting node, doesn't do anything for me. This one, however, is going to be really nice for clearing. While there are 3 or more poison enemies nearby, you deal 45% increased damage. That's a multiplier damage. It says it there in the brackets, X, it's multiplier. Meaning that this will actually be more in terms of the actual overall damage that I get if the enemy is also vulnerable. So I still need to figure out how to do vulnerable damage, you know, application of vulnerable, without, you know, just spamming it on my hotbar. The easiest way, again, like I said, is Hurricane, though I don't really want to use Hurricane. You can still use it. I mean, most people are using Hurricane for that effect anyway. But you have to understand that the Hurricane application of vulnerability is a lucky hit. You have to do a lucky hit roll to be able to get the vulnerability. And I don't want to do lucky hit for my build, so I'm going to not go anywhere near Hurricane on my new build. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do vulnerability to be able to get it activated. The only way that I've done it currently is with this. Any enemy that I hit for 3 seconds gets vulnerable. They become vulnerable for 3 seconds, and then it's a 20-second cooldown. So it's technically a 17-second cooldown. You apply a 3-second debuff of vulnerability on them, and then after that 3 seconds, it doesn't then count down 20 seconds. It counts down the 20 seconds the moment you apply. So it's 3 seconds plus 17 seconds on the cooldown, meaning that I have to figure out a way to be able to apply vulnerability maybe 2 or 3 times during that 17-second cooldown window. If I could get another application of vulnerability within that time, that'd be pretty cool, though at the moment I don't really have a means. The only way that I can do that is with innate Cyclone armor. Enemies knocked back by Cyclone become vulnerable. This doesn't work on bosses. You have to knock them back to apply. If the enemy is immune to knockbacks, this doesn't work, which is the reason why I haven't picked it. It's pointless having a point in something that doesn't work on bosses. There's quite a lot of things in this game that are also immune to knockback. There's an effect that you can get on Nightmare Sigils that makes them immune to knockback when they are less than, what is it, like 35% health or something. They become immune to knockback. So this would actually be worse if I go into Nightmare Dungeons with that active. So I won't be getting the vulnerability, which is the reason why I haven't picked it here. Again, this one, knockback. These 2 points only work against certain enemies, certain types of enemies, but it doesn't work on bosses. Completely pointless. Completely pointless. The application of slow is still pretty good, because obviously damage to crowd-controlled enemies. A crowd-controlled enemy is one that is slowed or immobilized, so you can still do that. You can still do your slow applications. This, for instance, applies a slow. Isn't it? Doesn't this do slow? Or is it stun? Okay, it's stun. Whatever. Who cares? Like, something applies slow. I got a fucking clue what it does. I think it's an aspect. Yes, it's an aspect. Earth abilities apply slow to the target. I don't think I've currently got it. No. There's an aspect that makes it so that Earth abilities apply slow. So you can still do that. Now, from what I've learnt of the game, slow is an application of a stunning effect. Now, I didn't know this, but a application of an effect, if the target is immune to those effects, it actually builds up their stagger bar. So if you're using something like Earth abilities, like these two, something like applies slow to the target actually makes the stagger bar, that blue bar underneath their health. I didn't know this until recently. That blue bar, it actually goes up faster. So you can actually stun a boss faster if you make it so Earth moves apply slow. Even if you can't slow the boss, because bosses are immune to slowing effects, you can still get that bonus application of the stun if you hit the boss. I didn't know that. So that aspect of applying slow to targets is still pretty good, because it helps with dungeon clearing in terms of increasing your damage to targets that are slowed, and it helps with bosses because it gets that stagger bar up quicker. I don't know by how much. It's probably just a little bit, but at the same time, it still has a purpose. Immobilization doesn't work on bosses, so don't even bother getting, like, you know, increased damage to monsters that are immobilized. Pretty pointless. But the slow effect, I didn't realize that. That's my little tip to you. If you still want to get things that say increased damage to targets that are crowd controlled, you can still do that. Yeah. I didn't know that. So damage to crowd controlled enemies, damage to slowed enemies. So this ability is actually better if I apply slow to the targets. I didn't know that. So I think I am going to put that imprint on here somewhere. I don't know what I'm going to replace. Probably on the gloves, when I get rid of the gloves, because I do need to get rid of these. The Fist of Fate, 1% to 300, though it is nice, it's too sporadic. It's too, like, either one or the other. In some cases, I just can't do damage to the targets because my damage is always ticking on the low numbers. So I need to get rid of these gloves. But apart from that, that is my build currently. I'm not really going to go full in depth with it. I will do that as the character progresses with Season 1, because this obviously has been such a hit and miss all over the fucking place. I've had to redesign it so many times. I don't want to make a video saying do this, do that, when the actual build itself has been changed over and over. But the only things that you need to understand with this build now is that I've dropped Pack Leader, I've dropped Ravens. Ravens is nice for the free vulnerability, but meh, whatever, who cares. I can still do strong single target damage without vulnerability. It just would be nice to have it. That's the thing. Still keeping Poison Creeper. I've swapped out Pack Leader for Energize, giving me free Spirit on hit. Again, this is a lucky hit. I'm not going to be using this on my full build, which is the reason why I'm not recommending it. Increased critical strike damage, lower that impairment, as well as the Calm Before the Storm. Why have I got this? I should be using this, Obsidian Slam. I don't know why that's on there. 1 of 2. Oh, okay. I need to change that up. It'll probably just be this. Swap that over for this, so I get 2 out of 2 with the increased critical strike chance. The reason why it's now going to be really important for me to get this is that I'm not going to be going Earth and Might on my Season 1 character, because this is a lucky hit ability, whereas something like Nature's Fury, though it has been buffed from 20% to 30%, it is not a lucky hit. It just triggers. So that's fantastic. In fact, I might test it for the next video just to see what it's like. But yeah, Nature's Fury actually might have a comeback. You might actually see that. I might actually call it my Nature's Fury build in the new video, even though I'm only using these 3 abilities. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But what would this be triggering? It would be triggering Tornado. Oh, for fuck's sake. And this will be triggering either Wind Shear or Storm Strike. That's handy, because you gain 25% damage reduction for 3 seconds. We'll see. I'll mess about with that for the next video, but for now, that's the build. I've dropped the companions. It's as simple as that. I'm not even going to recommend them at all. Stay away from them, all of them, apart from Poison Creeper if you're doing damage to poisoned. If you're not even doing that, then it's pretty pointless. But yeah, I mean, you can get more applications of poison just from rabies than you do with Poison Creeper. It's pretty fucking pointless. You could just drop Poison Creeper and just get an ultimate. Get yourself a nice little tasty ultimate. Cataclysm or Petrify or something. Who knows, right? I might even drop Poison Creeper. But until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for seeing this build in its current state. Though, again, it's going to go through some changes. Yeah. That's about as good as I can say. Thank you. Take care. My voice is going. Holy shit. And yeah, I'll see you later today. I mean, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I will put this as day 26, though technically it's not day 26. This is like 2 in the morning. But later today, I'll be doing the T30 maps. Did I get any more? 29, 30, I did. Another 31, 32. Interesting. 30. I got 4 of them. Perfect. I got 5 of them. Sweet. Once you attack from the distance, burn extra life. Unstoppable. Unstoppable. Vulnerability damage. Chance to slow. That one might be deadly. Okay, I got 5 instances of T30s. I'm going to do that for later today's video. This is just a quick update on this one to let you know why I've dropped another companion in favor of Cyclone Armor and the increased defense that I'm getting. That increased defense is going to be so fucking important later on. You might actually see that. Like, increased slow. Like, I'm going to be fucking slowed by enemies that do long range. Holy shit. That's scary. I'm actually scared by that. Because I won't be able to move away from effects and AoEs and stuff. But we'll see. Thank you for watching. Take care. And we'll see you in that video. 5 T30s. Bye-bye.